What up, SoleMates family? It's your boy P here. And you already know, make sure that you subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Leave a comment in this video. Tell us what you want to see next. Tell us what you think of this video. And let me introduce you right now to my very own friend, Real.
What's up?
You know what I'm saying? This is my channel, Sandbox, baby.
Sandbox.
This is like,
Facts.
you know what I'm saying? First grade, second grade, third grade. You know what I'm saying? Everything. I've
Facts.
seen it from the bottom to the top. Now we here. For real. You know what I'm saying? So right. So bro, it is my honor to have you here, bro. You know what I'm saying?
It's my pleasure.
And I appreciate you for real. It feels good. It feels good. So let's get straight to it. Let the people know what you're doing right now, just to help our community and in business.
Okay, man. Like, really, man, the whole big old thing, what I'm doing, man, is just adding value, man. And what I mean by that is just giving freely from my experiences, my knowledge, whatever I got to give, man, just giving it freely to the community in business and friendship, just in whatever space I come in, I want to enrich it. The businesses I'm focused on right now is I have the Reallionaire management group. I got some local artists here from Seattle.
You
know, I got
some good artists, man. Give a couple shout outs, man. Let's talk about it.
I got dope artists, man. All Pro Go. My artist, man, Melinda's son, Cameron Chanel, the hottest female rapper ever. You know what I'm saying? We got Hot Boy Von, Doc Holla, Snap Gotti. Yeah, man, we got a mob, man. We got a real life mob. So, yeah, man, be on the lookout.
Shout out to my boy Mafi D for show.
Mafi D for show,
you know what I'm
man.
Saying?
Back records, man. Sworn to secrecy, members only. I mean, it's all one good thing, man.
Man, I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, your experiences. So let's talk about some of the experiences, because it wasn't just sunshine, right?
No.
You feel me?
No.
So let's talk about where we come from, right?
Yeah.
I was raised on 20th and Union, right? So you already know this is the turf. This is the area we on Capitol Hill, which is like maybe a half a mile to a mile down the road from where I grew up.
Shadow.
So we really came from really nothing. Section 8, and you know what I'm saying? We're not bragging about it. We're not glorifying it. But this is where we came from. And I think the lack of having made us hungry and created an appetite. Yeah. So will you share with the people where you came from? Give them a little bit of your background before we go into where you're at now.
No worries. Like yourself, man. He grew up on 20th. I grew up on 21st and Union. 946 to be exact, man. 21st Avenue.
Yeah.
And I grew up in the Central District area, man. I come from what you would perceive as the bottom. Yeah. I mean, to be totally candid, like I say, not to glorify it, but just give context to my story. I come single mother home. I grew up in the Central District in the 90s, the late 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. The height of the crack epidemic, to be honest, man. Disenfranchisement. But a community that was rich in culture. Is rich in culture, and so in my household, it started in my household. My mom's a very cultured person. And so, that was my beginning, man, staying right there. And, unfortunately, man, I took the road, I would say, less traveled. And what I mean by that is it's less traveled to go on the road of where we come from, man, to throw away all opportunities at an early age and to subscribe to something that was pretty demonstrative, man, to be honest.
Yeah, right. That's real, man, and that's good. Like you said, you take the road that less traveled. So what are some of the tools that you've picked up along that road that help and fuel you in the street and the path that you're on right now? What are some of the things that you developed over your lack or when you had less that you use today?
Okay, I mean, I think like you kind of touched on earlier, man, the lack of not having, it creates a hunger. Right. And, as a young guy, it was a young guy coming from, like I say, single parent home, area infested with drugs and, violence. It created a hunger for more. A hunger for more. For sure. And, it always wasn't directed in a positive sense, but that hunger for more, of wanting to be more than what it was right now. That's what I picked up that, and just learning how to think outside the box.
Right.
Understanding not to be discouraged about, my surroundings, always understanding that, man, this wasn't going to be my end point.
Right.
And I think I got that, man, learning how to communicate with diverse crowds, man, because when you come from that type of area, man, and you run in the streets, you never know where your business and where that life takes you. And so you find yourself in these unknown, uncomfortable situations or areas on a regular.
Yeah.
And so you develop these skills of just understanding how to be adaptable, because you just never know what's going to happen from day to day.
Right. And that's good, because one thing that I've noticed, right, is that this generation is more of a immediate gratification, satisfaction. They want it immediately, and it's really due to social media, right? Back in the day that we grew up, right, in the late 80s, early 90s, all the way up to the 2000s, right? We were more in person. We had to go outside our household to do anything.
Most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? If you wanted to take over any sort of really anything, you really had to go out and do it in person. Nowadays, you guys can sit at home and really corner a market from without even leaving your living room. But there's a gift and a curse with that, right? Because the people of this generation, they want the chain, they want the image of success, right? That the rapper has, that Jay-Z had, that you have, that I may have, right? They want that image on social media, but they don't necessarily want to put in or take the path, like you said. They don't want to take that path. So is there anything that you can say to the younger generation that is not going to necessarily have them with just focused on the end result without putting in the practice or the work or taking that route to get there?
Yeah, most definitely. Man, an old head told me one time, man, don't ever focus about looking the part, because if you be the part, you're naturally going to look it.
If you stay ready, you never got to get ready.
And what I mean by that is, the end result that's the desired thing. It's easy to set a goal. Right. It's easy to say, hey, you know what? I want $100 million. That's easy. I can sit up there. I can make up any lofty goals now. The challenging part is constructing the road to get there.
Right.
It's saying, I need to get to this mile point, this mile point in order to get to there, It's like building a house. You feel me? You start at the basement, the foundation, the basement, all that. And so what I would tell young folks is, man, there is no rush. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yes, tomorrow's not promised. We understand all that, man. But if you start looking at life, what's the most you can do today? Like, that's the thing. You have to be focused on the process. Because if you get too ahead of yourself, it's just like driving. Let's use the analogy of a mirror and the rearview mirror and the windshield. Most of my focus is gonna go on the windshield. That's why it's bigger. And so if I focus too much ahead of 4 cars ahead of me, I'm gonna miss what's right in front of me. And if I focus too much in what I'm passing, you feel me? I'm gonna crash at what's immediate. So the rear view is just to take a glimpse to see where you come from. But you should always stay focused on your immediate surroundings, and understanding the process. Just understand everything's a process. I mean, everything we've ever been proficient at, we lost that. It was a process. Us talking right now. It was gibberish. It was
it sounded like Charlie Brown's mom.
And then you start getting the words, the baby talk. And then now you don't even think. The words, right when they come off your head, they formulate to your mouth. Same thing with walking. We took a couple steps, fell on her bottom, you feel me, might have cracked her head. Now you don't even think it's left, right, you don't even think about it. So understanding that, don't be afraid of failure, because in failure is how you only know how to win through failure. Through failing, through losing.
That's good.
That's good. You never can win without experiencing the loss. It gives it contrast. What is good without bad? What is bad without good? You have to give it contrast. It's all a process. And just because you've lost something doesn't mean you're a loser.
Right.
A loser's a mentality. It's not the act of losing. The act of losing is gaining knowledge, experience, the lesson.
Right.
Hey, listen, if I went to the fork in the road and I went left and I went down there and it ended up being a dead end, so I know that next time I get to the fork, because I went there, I might have lost a little bit of time, but I gained so much knowledge and experience from going there.
Right.
Now I know to go to the fork, let me try this right.
Right.
There's such a fear in failure now.
Because you're going to instantly be all over the world in 24 hours, and everybody's going to label you a loser. And people are afraid of being exposed for who they truly are.
But the thing is, there's only one you. Right. So what my whole mantra, the whole meaning behind Rich Reallionaire, is just take the word rich, to be abundant, to have to be abundant and have abundance. And that's part of just being yourself. You can be 1,000,000% of yourself. That's the Reallionaire part. Reallionaire is just being plentiful and being yourself.
Right.
You're a Reallionaire. You're a Reallionaire. We're all Reallionaires when you subscribe to being yourself.
Right.
You know, I'm just plentiful, and the rich comes because I'm abundant in being myself. I can always be Gerael, Real, whatever you know me as. I can be that 100% of the time. But if I try to be P, for instance,
right.
even if I get to 75%,
right.
I missed the 25%. You know, it's
right.
There's no way I can replicate anybody else's success and journey, and I don't want to at this point, because what I define as winning is tailor-made to my experiences. It's not predicated to what society tells me. You know, that's a distraction. You know, because hey, I bought 10 houses. There's somebody that bought 100 houses. Doesn't mean I failed. It doesn't mean I failed. It doesn't mean, and it doesn't mean you failed because you bought one house.
Right.
You know, it's everything's a process, and just understanding, man, just being yourself, man, and it's hard out here nowadays because everything's distracted to say, look at me now, you know, look at the watch, look at that, and that takes the true distraction of what the real fruit is, the real value is. The real value is you. You know,
man, and that's a huge value. That's a huge asset to learn, right? Because when I was younger, and all of my business tenures, this isn't the first business that I started, right? And so even as a child, even things that when I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing, right? All my business ventures, you know what I'm saying, I always was good up until a point, right? And then I would take a loss or lose something, right? And so I didn't really become successful until I realized that, you know what, I keep losing at this point. And it's because, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. You know what I'm saying? So once I realized, you know what, like you said, here's a fork in the road, let me go right instead of trying to go straight or left, because both those times didn't work out for me. Stop taking that left in life and make sure that you realize that there's another path. Even if it's not a clear path, even if you got to get out and you got to chop down some trees or you got to move some stuff out of the path, even if you got to clear a way. Some of us are trailblazers. There is no path where I'm headed. There is nobody. We're in uncharted territory because our family and everything in our circle, we've passed that. You know what I'm saying? So stop taking advice from someone who can't tell you and who has never been there, right? So the greatest thing I ever did was start taking those losses and turn it into lessons, because I realized, like, okay, I took a loss here, but I created value. And like you said, you always add value. I've created value because I started living life according to my losses, and now they're no longer losses, they're lessons. So what would you advise to the younger community on how to deal with a loss and turning it into a lesson?
I mean, man, really just expand on what you're saying, man. You know, I gotta say it, man. We're a collection. We're built from our losses and enhanced by our wins. And what I mean by that is, you get the lesson from the loss. The loss is gonna teach you how to win. You know how to do it different now. So if I know that if I went left, like back to that, if I went left and it didn't work, I know that, well, the other option's right. You know what I'm saying? And that mind frame, always looking at something as a lesson and not being emotionally tied to a loss. You know what I'm saying? And really be careful, because not even be too emotional tied into a win. It's like I take my lessons from the losses, I take my confidence for the wins, and you know what? I use all that experience and attack the next situation with all that wealth of knowledge.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't hold on. I'm not gonna bask in the loss too long. I'm not gonna relish in the win. I'm gonna take the fruit from the loss, and I'm gonna take the confidence from the win. I'm gonna put it together, and I'm gonna go in the next situation that much more focused and dialed in. So, man, just understand that it's okay. It's okay to be not okay. It's okay to lose. It's okay to figure it out. Right. Nobody started off and shoots 100% in anything. Yeah. That's just, if you show me somebody who's never failed, you show me somebody who's never tried. Right. Period. And there's no other way around it.
Right. Or lies.
Or lies. Oh yeah, lies. Yeah. And this days and times, you know, you got scholars that can get behind these things, and you know, and it sounds good in theory.
You guys flip loss around like you said. What do you lose? When you lose, what do you lose? That's what it is. See, I know a lot of people that lose, and you can lose. But you know what? You still got something to fall back on. What if you lose? When you lose, what if you lose? What do you learn from losing every fucking thing? And then say it happens again. Oh God, what do you learn? I mean, when you lose, that loss, man, it depends on what you lose.
Yeah,
it really does. Because sometimes some people, you know, you got a lot behind you, so you know you can lose, you can fuck up time after time after time, but you know you can't do it. But depending on where you come from, you may not have too many losses in you.
Yeah, which is understandable. Everything's in context. But still, if you still get to wake up in the next morning, you can still get to wake. You still get to wake up.
You better learn from that loss
and understand that, like it's not over because you got another crack at it. Right. You know the notion that because even if you was in an event that you were to lose, everything that you felt was valuable. You still get to wake up the next day and go attain all that back if that's what you was. So at the end of the day, if you've been there once, you can get there twice. Right. You know, and just understanding that now when I get back up to that certain point, back to touching back on what you say, you used to get to that certain point. Right. Well, now when you start listening, like, okay, let me learn let me get out my feelings and my emotions of the loss. And not to say that people's feelings are invalid because everybody's feeling is valid and, you know, they're validated. But still, it doesn't negate the fact that get out of the emotion of the loss and get to the lesson to say, okay, let me think past my anger. Let me, you know, that's a big lesson I learned, you know, it's how to learn how to think past, let my intelligence outweigh my emotions. Right. It's, you know what I'm saying? My emotions, because at one point in time, I used to feel it was okay to pee in a diaper. You didn't feel it was wrong until you knew better. Right. So your feelings changed on the same situation. You had to, good. You know, just understanding that.
That's good. So, all right, so that's how we deal with losses. Now, one thing that I've realized, you know, over the course of time is that I never really celebrated my victories. And the reason why is because I was never done. You know, I feel like, you know, a lot of people, a lot of times, there's times where I would celebrate, you know what I'm saying, certain thing. I'll go out with my partners. We celebrate birthdays or we celebrate times with each other. So really, we're celebrating our time and how valuable we are to each other. But I don't necessarily celebrate, you know what I'm saying, signing the contract. I don't necessarily celebrate, you know what I'm saying, milestones. I don't necessarily celebrate certain things. Why? Because this is just the beginning. How do you have a victory lap without ever crossing a finish line? Right? So I feel like Nipsey said, rest in peace to Nipsey, because he said it's a marathon and the marathon continues. Just because you hit that lap doesn't mean you should stop running.
No,
you know what I'm saying? The race is still going until you leave this earth. So the reason why I don't necessarily celebrate in the same way that other people might celebrate is because I want to celebrate when I can look back at my accomplishments and be like, yeah, I did that. Exactly. And I'm just getting started. I'm not nowhere where I plan to be. So, like you said, dealing with losses, right? Now, how do we switch over to dealing with wins? Because wins is more, it'll pump your head up more. You learn more. Me specifically, I've learned more from a loss than I ever did a win because you don't necessarily analyze what you did wrong. You know what I'm saying? For me, when you do a loss, you're looking at everything. What went wrong? How did I do it? When things go right, you can get into a point where it's like, I'm gonna just do that again, but you didn't realize there was something that was good in that moment for that situation, and if you try that again without duplicating that moment, you know, you won't be able to create the same success sometimes. And so now you can make yourself feel like a failure because, I'm only as good as my last win. Right? So how do you get to a point where you process, or what specifically can you give to us on how to deal with a win without getting caught up in it, and then that leading to neglecting details?
No, most definitely. It's a slippery slope, man, because, you know, that's why I made this slogan, you know, I get confidence from my wins, not so much big-headed, because it's very easy to get too construed, you know.
Success breeds confidence.
Most definitely, it breeds confidence, but it also breeds cockiness and ego.
Yes,
you know,
thin line between cockiness and confidence.
It's a very thin line, because if you understand, if I've always won, like you said, if I've always won, you're right. I'm not gonna. It's very rare that people that always win go back on the drum board and say, okay, all right, it's because it's things. So you just do things out of habit, and then if you're not careful, man, ego, complacency, and cockiness takes in, and these are the things that when you suffer a loss. Now it's just monumental. It's blown out of proportion because you was never in the practice of critiquing your work. You was always, hey man, I won, I'm a winner. So, you know, what I can say with the wins is always be present in the moment. That's why I say always be present. It's okay, I won, that's fine. What can I do better? What's the things I did good at? How do I get better there? Where's the things I feel I want to step up at? Right. You know, and just looking at everything like that, man, always addressing the win like, hey man, listen, you give yourself a pat on the back, on to the next play.
Right.
That thing you hear a lot in sports, have amnesia.
Right.
Have amnesia, man. Okay, man, I win today. That's great, man. That's good. That's cool.
Facts.
Tomorrow's a new slate, man. When you wake up tomorrow, you can't take. They have a saying, man. You can't take yesterday's loss. Yesterday's losses don't count for today's score. And just understanding that, man. Just always being aware of that in the moment, because, like I say, that's the thing about success. And coming from where I come from, where we come from, you wasn't bred to handle success.
Right.
We're culturally, just speaking culturally, we're bred for controversy and hard times. We can relish in those. We can focus in the eye of a storm. But now we're really taught that when it's time, when everything goes successful, what do I do now? And that's where you see a lot of athletes kind of slip up. They get all this money, and it's, oh man, I made it. And you stop doing the little things that it takes. Because I'm a firm believer that success isn't one just catastrophic big thing. It's a very small series of small victories.
Man,
small victories. I woke up today.
Key.
Hey, you know what?
This is good info.
I ran. My goal was to run 3 miles. Well, today I ran half a mile. That's good. Tomorrow I won a quarter. Quarter mile.
One step further.
You know what I'm saying? I start compounding little victories, and then over time, that's success. You look back, and it's the consistency of getting these small wins, these small victories. Because my win tomorrow might not be as like today. Today, I might have a $100,000 day. Tomorrow, the victory might be, hey, my kids did something great in school, and that was the victory. Right. See, it's no monetary value, but it's a victory all the same. And it's understanding, just compound these good things. Understanding, like, you know what? Today, this was my win, but tomorrow, I thought past a situation where I used to get stopped at. Right. I got to that fork in the road, and I made the right decision without looking in hindsight. There's the victory. Right. Understanding to be present in the moment.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing in my life. It was because life's always going to try to teach you the same situations just over and over. Right. And when I realized my life was teaching me, hey, you don't need to always be, because everybody has 20/20 vision in hindsight. You can look back and say, oh, I seen that. Oh, yeah. It start having that awareness in the moment, saying, hey. All right now. Wait, hold up. I've been here before. All those lessons, all those things, right here in every moment. Experience is right there in each moment with me, and that's what I take for the win. Just have that mind frame. Have the amnesia, and just understand that, man. Your wins tomorrow might look different than your wins yesterday, and that's okay.
Right. That's good, man. That's good, and it's very important that we realize those little victories, right? Because you can compare yourself to like a. You know what I'm saying?
Let's pause for 1 second. He has a question.
All right, so let's pick up where we left off. We had a quick minute break because we had to get to business. But, of course, make sure that you guys are following us on social media. What's your social media handle?
Rich Reallionaire.
Okay, Rich Reallionaire, man. Make sure you follow him because my guy got a lot of good game. He'll give you, some knowledge and wisdom every single day. Whether he's working out, whether he's doing a business deal, whether he's in the middle of a purchase, he'll reveal, valuable information that you might not get on your own if you've never been in that situation. So please give him a follow and listen to what he has to say, for sure.
I appreciate it.
For real.
I appreciate it, most definitely. Make sure you shop. Make sure you get all your kicks from SoleMates.
Yes. Make sure you go online. If you are not in the Washington area, sms206.shop. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media, all social media platforms. All right, man. Have a good one.
Remember when they get the snow boot shoes, when we talking about?
Right, when it comes in, I got you. Yeah. 11, 12. I got you.
Have a blessed day, my man.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Follow us on all social media platforms. SoleMates 206, and it's SOLE, not SOUL. We're not a date site, you feel me? So make sure you focus on sneakers. All right, so we're gonna get back into it. So I believe where we left off, we was talking about our journey, right? And our road to success, our road, and the things that we'll experience while we're on that road, right? And so I believe I shared and you shared about how we dealt with losses and how we dealt with wins. Mm-hmm. All right, so now I want to transition and talk about what was it? Oh, some of the habits, right? Okay, so what is, like you said, victories, right? So we talked about victories and how a victory could be different. Yeah. So what are some of the habits that you have on a daily basis that you might consider successful? I noticed that on your Instagram, you work out, you go on runs, you know what I'm saying? you do a lot of different things. So we might catch you in the studio. We might catch you in a real estate deal. We might catch you, you know what I'm saying? You can never know what to expect with you. So what are some of the things that you do on a daily basis, no matter what you're doing? Whether it's, getting up, drinking right, reading X amount a day. What are some of the habits that you have that you do every single day?
Every single day I get up, I start my day at 5 a.m. Yeah. I get up my 5 a.m., man. Before I touch my phone, I put my feet on the ground.
Right.
This is just routine. I make sure I'm up. I cleanse myself. Then I'm up to work out by 5:30, 6 o'clock at the latest.
Right.
Routine is disciplines. These disciplines of always being on a routine, taking the most out of your time, because you only get 24 hours. So although I can't add another hour to the clock, I can make sure that I take as much time as that 24 hours to be productive.
Right.
And so from there, I make sure that I eat clean. I'm vegan. I don't eat meat. Right. So I make sure that I make my smoothie. After I make my smoothie or get my acai bowl, boom. From there, I'm straight into my emails. I'm straight into that. If I have duty with the kids, I hop right into that. But I'm very routine orientated. I make sure that before I actually get my day started, I make sure I try to visualize my day. So on my way to my workout, I'm working out, but I'm visualizing how I want my day to go.
Later on.
Thanks for coming in, sir.
I visualize my victories and my lessons right then, how I want it to go out.
Right.
In my head. I mentally prepare. Right. And I get in the habit of, even when those iffy feelings pop up, hey, I take a minute to woo-saw. I don't turn on electronics till about 11 o'clock.
Oh, right. I didn't know you guys was right here. You guys knew? Can I take a look?
Somewhat. Yeah, go ahead.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We're open.
Yeah. Can you pull your mask up for us, though?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, if you have a question or anything, feel free to ask. We're just in an interview. Don't hesitate to interrupt, because we can edit or anything like that. Go ahead.
And so I'm just I take time to visualize my day. I really mentally prepare myself. And when I say mentally prepare myself, just having my mind being open to all possibilities and probabilities, and just being receptive of whatever comes my way.
That's good.
And so that's something I do habitual, man. And like I say, I work out. I get up early. I work out. I eat right, and those are things no matter what. Make sure I don't turn the electronics on before 11. I'm other than my phone. My phone, but I don't watch TV. I don't listen to music. Right. I just let my brain I let that energy revving my engine with positive energy in my head, and just making sure I'm radiating that, not taking any outside messages. None of that. It's all, I'm projecting all what I want to happen during my day, and that's much.
Hey, yo, listen, that's dope. Because a lot of times, people, like you said, your diet. You know what I'm saying? What I just took away from what you're saying is your diet, right? We will focus on some of the food we eat, whether you're on a keto diet, whether you're on calorie intake, whether you're eating protein, right? But we won't censor what we watch. We won't censor what we listen to. We won't censor what we drink, right? And a diet consists of the things that you digest. Well, the things that you look at on a daily basis is going to be something that you project internally, right? And something that you process internally. Things that you listen to, right? If you're listening to it, for our culture, right? And I played a huge part of it growing up. But if you listen to our music on today, right? Our music is the only music where it's really talking about putting ourselves down. You know what I'm saying? Internally, and projecting that same thing on other people that look just like us. Projecting that on our women. Projecting that on our children, right? And that's because we have an unhealthy diet. We're living a lifestyle, and then we're teaching the younger generation to disrespect their entire community, right? And so that's a bad diet. And so, of course, what you put in is going to reflect. Your body is going to reflect anything that you put on the inside of it. So, of course, you're going to you're going to carry yourselves a certain way. So, of course, you're going to disrespect people. Of course, you're going to have a limited vocabulary where you use only certain words. Of course, you're going to do these things because your intake on a daily basis is not governed or censored.
It normalizes it.
It normalizes it. So, how do you get to a point where you can filter out all that? Because where you're at now and where you came from is two totally different things. How do you flush out all of that, right? And then get to this point.
I mean, man, it's really
Hey,
like.
I'll be right back. I don't leave my husband.
For sure,
You're
for
right.
sure.
You're good. No, and just back to how you were saying, man. Earlier, it's just the process. Back to the process of something, the progress. You know, this isn't an overnight thing. You know, if you just tune in with me, you probably see, oh, this guy has it all figured out. But that wasn't always the case.
Right.
It still's not the case. I'm still learning. I'm still on my journey.
Right.
But there's a part of my journey where, you know what I'm saying? I was just fortunate to survive it. I was fortunate to be aware of it. And I start first breaking the habits in my mind.
Right.
It was the habits of thinking that I was reacting out of habit. So like I said, I come up, you know, we come up in the neighborhood. We come up in, you know, in the streets. And we're taught that culture is to meet everything with aggression. Right. You know, whether it's talking, whether it's my body posture, whether it's my thoughts, whether it's my actual actions. It's all aggression. It's all aggression. And so when I start making this mind shift change, I realized that I had to first change the habit of where my mind started, how I thought. So I didn't trust my first thoughts. You know, so when I started, you know, it's like, oh, my first thoughts was rooted in problems based. They weren't problem solved. It was all about perpetuating the problem and focus on being problem orientated. Well, so when I switched my mind and understand that my habit had to change, I said that my first thought of something was not the thought I was going to go with. I was going to sit back, process it, and then I got in the habit of being problem solved. So now I started being problem solved. I was problem solved. It's like, okay, it's not so much the problem, it's the solution.
Right.
Versus I used to be, it's just the problem.
Yeah.
It was never about the solution, it was just all the problem. I come from a single parent home. Oh man, I come from the ghetto. There was no lights on. You guys don't understand what there's no jobs. Yeah, that's fine. I started looking at the same situation. I'm saying, okay, because I come from a single parent home, I'm gonna take that to be something more than what I started. It was all these started because I started thinking of the solution.
That's
You know,
good. That's good.
I started and it started with the habits of my mind, understanding not to trust my first or even my second thoughts, just processing myself through those old habits of the mind that was leaking out. Because like you say, you touched on this, which is a great thing about the diet. Diet is way more than food. Diet is everything, what you intake.
Right.
So that's why I'm careful about because your subconscious when you wake up is the most aware. There's no noise, it's sucking in. I don't want the first images or the first message in my mind to be music and whatever narrative they're trying to push. I don't want it to be the news. I don't want it to be anything. I don't want it to be whatever it is. I want to be able to flow with my thoughts and get in the habit of looking over the positive things, what I can do, what I can add value to, how I want this to go. So now when the outside sources start coming in, it's easy to, this doesn't fit in my program. It's easy. This doesn't fit in my program. Yeah. I can navigate through it.
That's good. That's good, man. And this is very, very good information. This is probably the best interview so far. No lie, man. This is good because we need this, man. One thing that I realized that we never had growing up is we never had counselors. Right? We were never able to process trauma. We were never able to process what we're dealing with, right? No. If you think about your body is going to let you know through your nervous system and through your brain that something's wrong, right? But the pain is not the problem. The pain is to show you that I need you to pay attention to the problem and it's over here, right? And so, like you just said, there is a process, right? So what is one process that you could give the people that will help them filter through the good and the bad? What's one thing that they can do, you know what I'm saying, to start practicing? What's the first thing to do?
The first thing right there, man, is understanding that it's not how you feel about things. And once again, back to saying that it's not negating your feelings. Your feelings are validated. That's validated. But understanding just because you feel something doesn't mean it's reality. It doesn't mean just because I might not care for this person doesn't mean that they're a bad person.
Right.
It doesn't. So I have to think past it. I have to think past my emotions. You have to understand and look at things outside of yourself. You know, and just having a different understanding of where you're trying to become. Even though if you don't know, if I know that I want to be more than what I am today, then I understand what areas I need to stay away from that are drawing me back to what I used to do or how I used to think and those type of things. And just being confident in that, man. Just being confident in your direction and trusting that. It's going to be, when you start changing, you're going to be the one to act funny. Right. You're going to be the weird guy. And that's cool. See, I relish in all that. That's fine. Yeah. Because that lets me know that once if I'm tired of this environment, I want to change and upgrade from this environment. Yeah. Once this environment starts pushing me out, I think I'm onto something. Right. Because if
you're trying to get out. So if I'm trying to get out it feels different, you know, that's the first step to getting out.
If now we used to be cool, now I'm not. For instance, I come from a place where intelligence was shunned. oh, you went to school, oh, you a square guy, oh, this guy's square.
Yeah,
you feel me?
man.
Oh, you read books, woo. And now that
talk
was
like you're white.
That perpetuated. Anything with intelligence.
You mean I know a lot of words?
Man, anything that was intelligence, we shunned. Anything that was about growth, we shunned. And so, just being cut, understanding that, I was like, hey, whoa, that's not right. No. I was backwards.
I think that actually shows more the insecurity from those coming at you versus you. Yeah. And that's where the strength comes in, where to be able to say, you know what, this has nothing to do with me. Yeah. I'm in my own way, and my own person. Exactly. And then if this is geared more towards younger kids, like that's the hill that they need to climb and trek over for their own self-awareness and self-actualization, like you were mentioning earlier. And I think you can hear me.
Man, being comfortable being yourself, man. Everybody's not going to be, what's cool to P is not going to be cool to me, and that's okay. I don't have to be defined by his thing of cool, and he doesn't have to be defined by mine. Right. But we can coexist, and we can be cool with being comfortable with being ourselves. But if I'm trying to be him, or if he's trying to be me, we're naturally going to offset each other.
Right. Man, that's real. I know childhood experiences, right? We have experienced falling out with anybody, whether it's a cousin or somebody else, because our lack of understanding. Definitely. Right? If somebody doesn't necessarily do something for you that they might have done for another person, then we can be like, he's acting funny, I don't rock with him. Yeah. But we didn't take the time to understand. Now I look at things, it's like, man, well, let me try to understand. There's times where somebody offended me, like you said, feelings, right? So let's talk about feelings. There's times where somebody offended me because of my culture. Mm-hmm. But if we truly realize that it was false, like this culture that we're living by is not probably really healthy for me, right? So if we decide to put our feelings aside and try to understand that person and their culture, then we can have an understanding for what it is that they're doing, and they might not be disrespecting you. They might actually be reacting to something that is unhealthy in their culture. So I've created times and opportunities where instead of me taking offense to something, I'll try to understand that person. And I'll try to get to know, that individual. And I have some of the closest friends and the closest people in my life with people that I could have fallen out with. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I gave them the benefit of the doubt. And then at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? When the cat gets out of the bag, it was all good. We just had a misunderstanding. We had to get outside of our feelings. What are some of the things that you are able to use? What is a tool that you're able to use by navigating through, a feeling or something that might not necessarily be true?
Okay, so this is a kind of stuff that one thing I exercise my power of choice. Understanding that, I can choose to be disrespected. You can't really disrespect me. It's all still my choice. Right. I have the power. I'm the controller of my buttons. So you could do something that's perceived in our culture as disrespectful, but it still's on me. The onus is on me to feel disrespected, for me to choose that feeling. I have to choose to be that. Right. And so understand I exercise my power of choice, understanding that I'm in control of my buttons, not the person. So not anybody else. No outside entity is in control of me, but that's me. Good. So I exercise my power of choice. And then when you say about the emotion, I understand that my brain is always going to outweigh my intelligence. Like I said, you're going to feel so many different ways about this one situation. Right. It kind of serves you injustice to succumb to your emotions. And so if you start, I always allow my intelligence to outweigh my emotions, because I'm going to think past the problem. Right. I'm going to think past the problem, because what if I act on it in this moment? My 5 minutes of anger can cost me 50 years. Right. You feel me? It can cost me my life, 5 minutes. Right. But if I took that same 5 minutes and thought past that 5 minutes, this could be a bridge, like you say. It could be a bridge to help me for the next 50 years. Yeah. So just taking that mind frame, once again, of understanding the power of choice. Yeah. And just the power of choice. You have the choice in everything. You choose to be disrespected. You choose your feelings. You choose your friends. You choose your palette in life. And it's an empowering thing and a scary thing. It's an empowering and a scary thing at that, because it's empowering because, man, you say, man, I have the choice to be anything I want to be. Right. But it's scary because you also realize that everything you've choose to done is all on your own.
Man, and that's key, man. This is really good. This is really good information. I'm really hoping that you guys are really listening to what we're saying. We might not have the millions of followers at this moment, but again, like we said earlier, that number doesn't describe or reflect the knowledge or wisdom, and that's not what success is to me. right? Success is, to me, being able to sit here and share my experiences with you, and be able to share my experiences with my childhood friend, and for him to be able to share his experiences with you, and making it through what we could have allowed to kill us. And so our culture, your culture, the culture that society wants to place on us, it wants to divide and conquer. And it can only, like he said earlier, it can only you can only allow it to divide if you buy into it. It's your choice. It's free will. I don't have to believe anything you're saying. You know, we choose to make anything. If you think about Facebook, right, which is one of the most successful. If you think about Twitter, one of the most successful social medias. Why is it successful? Because the people choose to use it. If we all said, you know what, I'm not buying into this platform, I'm not buying into this, then guess what it would be? Nothing. It wouldn't be worth anything, right? So it is you that literally determines the success of someone else's value. At what point do you realize that you determine your own value? And then you start living according to and planning according to your success and your letter, your life, right? If you don't write your life, somebody else is going to write it for you. You know what I'm saying? And so you have an opportunity to write your own story because you're living it, right? So what is, and I think this might be my last question. We are a part of other people's success, right? When do we plan our own success? What is our steps? So how does it look like for you? Do you have, you have a 1-year goal that lines up with your 5-year goal, that lines up with your 10-year goal? How do you plan your own success, and how do you define and accomplish your own success? Is it written out plans, or is it just little milestones that you want to do on a daily basis?
It's a collection of a lot of things, man. But I write things out. I have 2 whiteboards at home that I get ideas out. I throw them up there, random ideas. I journal. But a big thing is, to be honest with you, I value growth over goals. So I put my onus in the growth, because the things between growth and goals is a goal can be something outside of me. It could be monetary. I can set that to a monetary thing. Oh, you know what? I want 100,000. I want 100 million. Whatever the case may be, I can say that's my goal. And my character can be out of line, but I can still hit that goal. But my growth is aligned strictly to no monetary value. It's all inside work. And so I put the onus more on my growth over the goals. And so while I do set goals, my growth is the most important thing, because my growth in obtaining my goals is how the goal means that much more. If that makes sense.
That's good.
And so I really put the onus, man, every day, man, waking up, man, and really trying to win that day. Really trying to add more value to what I come through, not just to myself. I value myself so much, and in understanding my value, I understand how to respect and value other people. So when I enter somebody's space, I want to add to you. I want to add to that. I want to be the reason why it enriches. So my thing is, I really just value the growth. I take every day this is a day to grow. And the goals are going to come, because I've been reaching goals even when I wasn't living all the way in line in the growth inside myself. I've been reaching goals. I mean, we all really kind of reach goals, because you can place that on something outside of yourself. I think the challenge, man, especially for young folks, is just focus on growth, adding to your toolbox, and understanding how to use the tools in your toolbox, because just a toolbox alone doesn't make you a carpenter. It's understanding how to use each tool efficiently and for what its purpose to build something. So understand, be a carpenter, man, and just understand.
Siri, we ain't talking to you. Cancel. You're not in this interview, Siri.
That's crazy.
I did not ask you.
That's crazy. Yeah, Siri chimed in on that. But just understand it, man. Go in there and grow, and just understand about growth and understanding your tools and what you can bring to add. Add to yourself first, but by adding to yourself is what you can add to others. Because it's always going to take a time that we're all interdependent. This notion that humans are independent is a false narrative. We're all interdependent. You need other people's energy. You need that, because if that was, humans could be by themselves. You're not meant to be isolated. So that independent narrative is a misleading thing.
Being isolated is a punishment.
It's a punishment, for sure. And the fabric of your mind is not made up to do that. We are electric energy beings. We need, this is good energy. It swaps. When you feel good, when you give in good spirit, it comes back in good spirit. And it's not because you were saying, I'm going to give it back so it can come back. No, it's because I'm giving freely. Right. I'm just going to give freely. I'm going to reciprocate it. And whatever reciprocated rate is going to draw to you.
Right. Man, that's real. One thing that I'm analyzing what you're saying, because I like to analyze things. Yeah. You know, one thing that I've always realized, right, is even when I'm watching, you know, when I cancel cable to the point where, like, just like you, I don't watch TV. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I want to watch a movie with the kids or something, I select what we watch. Sure. You know what I'm saying? I get to pick, and we get to create that narrative, right? Exactly. In our household on we are going to watch what we choose what we watch.
We are the Joneses.
Right. So, back when I was watching TV, I used to always just watch things like even TMZ, right? Mm. Watch TMZ or watch paparazzi, celebrities dealing with paparazzi. And one thing that I realized, if you go from the Z list all the way up to the B list, right? They react totally different than the A list celebrities.
Yeah.
You feel me? B list and down. What do they do in front of the cameras?
Put on a show.
They put on a show. They get in front of the light. They want to make sure, you know what I'm saying, that they want to be seen. Because that's their opportunity. Yeah. That's their opportunity to be seen. But if you focus on the A-list celebrities, what do? They hide from the camera because they are the light.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They've invested in themselves so much that they don't want to share that with you. They don't want to show that with paparazzi. They do everything they possibly can to avoid paparazzi because I'm trying to reserve my light. I'm trying to dictate my story, and I don't need you telling it. So going back to what he was saying, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you put out, if you realize and if you watch your intake, if you keep control over your habits, right? If you create your own goals, if you focus on your inner, right, and create inner goals, then you become the A-list. You know what I'm saying? You become your own A-list celebrity because you are what makes anything successful. Whether it's the car, you know what I'm saying, that they sold 1 million copies of. Whether it's the shoes that you wear. The only reason that I have a resale store is because shoes are reselling because the people desire them. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? If there was nobody that had a desire for this, that I would not be doing this. I'd be doing something else. You feel me? So realize that it's all on your intake. It's all on you are the product. And once you market yourself, once you knowledge yourself, once you feed yourself, like this whole interview has been about, I would say then you become successful. Then you become, no matter how many followers you have, no matter how, you know what I'm saying, what you driving, or no matter what you put on, it's what's on the inside of you, you know what I'm saying, that you're going to begin to share with the world. God put something on the inside of you that needs to be in the world. And once you share that, then that becomes valuable to other people. And now your brand is increased, right? So is there anything else that you would like to share with the people before we close?
Oh, man, hey, man, just to sum it all up, man, understand, know self, man. Knowing self is the most vital, important, valuable thing you can do. It's the best, it's the most enriching thing you can do to self, is to learn yourself. Because by learning yourself, you'll learn your nuances, you'll learn where you need to work on, and then you value yourself. And when you value yourself, man, you're going to value others. You're going to add value, man. So just, take the time, man, to just really get to know yourself and really just take in the process in a whole. Wholeheartedly, and just be aware. You can, be a great student of life. And if you always be a great student of life, man, you'll be an awesome professor.
Man, listen, like he said, man, if you want to be a great leader, you got to be a great follower. Man, if you want to be a great teacher, you got to be a great student.
Even better student. If you want to be the best teacher, you have to be even a better student.
Right.
So just stay studious.
Man, I appreciate you, bro.
And I appreciate you, man.
This by far was the best interview that we've done. Oh, man, no lie. And it's really us coming from the same turf, and we going to the same areas. You know what I'm saying? We come from the same streets, and we're going to end up in the same skyscrapers.
No,
you know what I'm saying? For real.
Look, man, for real. This used to be like, remember we just had shoe boxes like literally in Granny's basement.
Bro, look to the ceiling. Now and had no understanding.
Now look at this.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. I'm proud of you, man.
Real talk.
I appreciate you for allowing me to come on your platform, man.
Right, of course.
It's humbling, man.
Mikasa Sukasa.
No,
like I said, I'm serious. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just for the camera.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been knowing him for at least 20 years. At least 20 years I've been knowing him.
At least.
You know what I'm saying? I'm 37 years old. Longer than 20 years.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying? Because that means when I was 17 when I met you, which is a lie.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? That's a lie. So at least 25. at least 25 I've known him, and over the course of years, it's always been good. You know what I'm saying? Great, and so, man, of course, man, I love to see you being successful. I love to see you doing good. But more than anything, I love to see what you have become and you sharing that with people for free. Because I'm telling you, the information that you're getting on this podcast, the information that you get if you follow him on Reallionaire on Instagram, I'm telling you, it is something that people pay for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Freely, man.
And he's giving it away for free. And I'm telling you, I repost on my Instagram, I give him shout outs out, like, bro, listen, you gonna want to hear this. You feel me? I do whatever. It don't cost no money to give a person a shout out, man. It don't cost no money to let people know that your brother got a business that exists, even if you don't want to spend that. It don't cost no money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So even if it's not monetarily, which he supports me monetarily, which I support him monetarily, right? But even if it's not monetarily, you can support your friends. You know what I'm saying? You can support your people. You don't gotta always ask for a discount. No. You know what I'm saying? You don't always gotta. You know what I'm saying? You don't always gotta ask for, a handout. Oh, let me get some free clothes so I could promote it. Free advertisement. Seriously, that's how you. Free advertisement.
But it just shows your intentions disappear, man. So but it's back to that. People can only process things and where they're at inside themselves. So if I'm always looking to take something, then that's how I'm viewing it. Right. But I'm looking to add. If you're really at peace with self, it's nothing. I'm gonna do it off the love. Right. I come here, man. It's off the love. I'm gonna come here, and I'm gonna do business with you off the love. It's not what I can get. It's not if I buy 20 pair of shoes, is he gonna give me the 21st one for free? I'm not doing that. I'm saying, listen here, man, I'm gonna come and give freely, and whatever that entails, I have trust that and faith that it's gonna all work out.
And to keep it 100, he came in today to the shop, right? And I was talking to somebody, a designer, sketch artist, someone who does products and draws and sketches and all these different things, and we was collaborating on ideas and trying to put them together. He came in, they began to speak, and he began to add value. A lot of these things that he does it for free for complete strangers. Complete strangers. You know what I'm saying? He's not charging these artists. You know what I'm saying? Let's at least have something to argue about. Let's at least have a pie to split before we start talking about, you know what I'm saying? And so when you look at things like that, when you're like, hey, you know what? Even if I don't get something off of this monetarily, if I can associate my name and increase your brand, right? Other brands are waiting for the next creator. Other brands are waiting for the next genius to help them and to associate themselves with them. And so they want to know who was all on that project that went platinum. Who was all a part of that multimedia company? Who's all a part of that management team? You know what I'm saying? And then when the big brands come knocking, guess what? That big paycheck's coming. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So even if you don't see it right now, even if you're like, hey man, this is not bringing me any money, don't turn down an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Because that opportunity, even if you don't get that monetary value that you're looking for right now, you can get it in the long run just by making sure that you added value, like my guy says. Man, you feel me? So again, give my guy a shout out. Give him a follow. Make sure that you follow Reallionaire and soak up some of this daily game that he's giving every single day.
Most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Follow us on all social media platforms, SoleMates 206, and make sure you subscribe and like this video. Leave a comment. Tell us how we did. You feel me?
One thing before we get out of here. Follow members only.
Yes.
Bag Records.
Yes.
Bag Clothing. Shout out to Sosa, Sam, D Black. My whole squad, whole squad, too many to name right now, but my business partners.
Right.
Hey.
Facts.
Outside.
Facts, man. It's good to have you, bro.
Outside.